with your boy Ancient Albatross here behind the scenes today, doing the tech side stuff. But either way, we got our usual suspects, the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have Alpha Dean or Dean. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't followed us here on Twitch, be sure to do that. And also subscribe to us over on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. And yeah, we really appreciate all the support. And Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, guys, this episode is all about the benefits of character progression and why it's important and just, what it will allow for you. It's not only allows you to experience the richness of the system, but it also teaches you all the little nuances and hidden gems within the system. So this is very important. We talk about character development and so on and so forth. And what I did was I put up a, definition of character development. So in fiction writing, character development is the process of building unique three-dimensional characters with depth, personality, clear motivations. Character development can also refer to the changes a character undergoes over the course of a story as a result of their actions and experiences. If this isn't what RPGs are all about, especially a narrative RPG like Cypher System, I don't know what is. And I'm just going to, lead into everything else with a quote from one of my favorite authors, Ray Bradbury. He said, "Plot is no more than..."
Hello, everybody.
I'm going to toss it to you in just a second, Ed.
You like speeding through.
I'm not speeding, but okay.
Welcome, everybody, to Cypher Unlimited. And if what you call to all you newcomers, welcome. We're talking about character progression. Before you get into definitions or anything like that, D, why did we have this? Let's talk about why we wanted to discuss character progression. And maybe let's talk about the technical difficulties that happened beforehand. Let's get into some pleasantries before we jump right into it.
Okay. We want to talk character progression because it comes up on the server a lot. Lots of questions about the system in of itself. And one of the beautiful things about using character progression and following it as it is written in the book, as opposed to making changes, it lets you understand the system that much better.
Yeah, I think just recently with the whole influx of new people coming into not only Cypher System or just the Monte Cook game spirit as a whole, I think we're getting a lot of fresh questions that, quite frankly, people that are experienced in Cypher System take for granted. So we might actually going to start going back and touching on a lot of the older topics that, for us, it might be old hat, but for someone first jumping into the Cypher System, it'll be super beneficial to them to understand. And one of the best ways I always found in learning how to create learning how to play a system is if you get a general understanding of how character creation works. So we've been getting a lot of questions on, how does a character tier up and all that. So we figured we'll talk about it a little in depth by actually creating a character on air and progressing it to tier 6.
So before we go further, what I was going to get to before, just wanted to throw a quote out from Ray Bradbury, and maybe that'll kind of put you in the mindset of what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, the character, we wouldn't have an RPG, we wouldn't have anything if we didn't have characters. No matter how great your plot, how great your setting, or whatever the case may be. And Ray Bradbury said, "Plot is no more than footprints left in the snow after your characters have run by on their way to incredible destinations." And I think that is a beautiful summation of why it's important, but we're going to delve right into that.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. Ray Bradbury is, icon, and I think that pretty much nails it on the head. So yeah, character progression. Before we even get into this, if you want to make a character or you want to get started in Cypher System, everyone knows, or hopefully everyone that's watching this knows, but if not, it's based on a character sentence. So let's just break down the sentence for people that don't necessarily understand Cypher System. And what exactly is the sentence, Steve?
Well, the character sentence is all the aspects of your character summed up in a single sentence. And what we have to do is we come up with, of course, your character's name. So, if the character's name was, I don't know, Malcolm,
Adjective, noun, who, verbs, or
exactly. Your character is an adjective, noun, who, verbs. And basically what that boils down to is, the sentence we put together was Malcolm is a intuitive warrior who throws with deadly accuracy.
All right, so what are those three different things that you just mentioned? The technical term.
The technical, well, within the books, there's going to be a descriptor. So that descriptor is intuitive. Mm-hmm. Then there's going to be the noun, what your character's ideology is or ideal is, or even kind of profession, however you want to do it. If you're thinking D&D terms, it'll be your class. And that's warrior. And then, of course, the verb is your focus. And your focus is where your character kind of shines. It's what, takes his definitive label to another place. So he's a warrior, but he throws with deadly accuracy.
So so you picked the adjective. I mean, you picked the descriptor, foci, before we just started this. So what was the three you pick?
Intuitive, warrior, and throws with deadly accuracy. So
your descriptor was intuitive, your type was warrior, your foci is throws with deadly accuracy, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's go to warrior first. Actually, how do you normally do it? Because I think everyone does it. Most people do it differently or have their own special way of doing it. I tend to go type first, but chat, what do y'all guys usually do when you build a character? Do you go to type first or do you do descriptor or foci first?
And as far as that's concerned, I don't do any of those first. I literally come up with a concept. If my character's got to be magical, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be an adept, or a speaker. Sometimes I might decide to build a warrior who has a magical flavor. And that's something that we're going to touch on as well. We do have to talk about flavors as part of your character development, if that is something that's necessary. But that's like a side note, an aside.
So, yeah, but you put this one together. So what did you do with this one in particular?
Well, again, you know what? The concept for me came from the idea, of a warrior who was a finesse warrior versus a brute force warrior. And that was the concept that, hit me for it. And the idea of being finesse, using his intuition, and using throws with deadly accuracy means he's going to be the type that doesn't necessarily want to stand in, direct combat with you. Not that he can't, but that's just not his style.
So what do you want to choose first? Do you want to do type first or do you want to do...
We might as well, let's do the type first, because once you have the overarching idea, let's knock the type out.
Okay. So you decided on warrior.
Correct.
Right? So you get a base pool of might, speed, and intellect are the three attributes that Cypher System use. So your base starting point for warrior is 10, 10, 8, 10 might, 10 speed, 8 intellect. You also get an additional 6 points to spread out on the three pools as you see fit, before tier 1. So, and then you also get, so now we know that we basically 10, 10, 8. And since we know our full sentence, so for the sake of expediency, let's say that, since we are a ranged character, throws with deadly accuracy, maybe we throw 3 of those points into speed and 2 in might and 1 into intellect. So now we're 12, 13, 9. Is that cool?
I can live with that.
Yep. All right. So all characters start off with one level of effort. This is we'll definitely do a video, continuation video explaining all the individual mechanics. But this is just so you know what you get at tier 1, right? You get one level of effort, one might edge since he's a warrior, which makes sense.
Or you can have a speed edge. And this character, I'm giving this character a speed edge because I did, we said we're going to be a finesse character versus a brute force character.
Absolutely. You get 2 ciphers. Everybody knows ciphers are one-time use objects. Immediately you practice with light, medium, and heavy weapons. We might want to specialize in throwing weapons later on, but that's something that we could, discuss later. Your starting equipment is you get 2 weapons of choice. What kind of weapons do you want this person to be throwing?
I figured he'd have, throwing irons instead of blades. There'll be blunt. There'll be blunt objects. Like a small truncheon or baton, like Daredevil. So I figure he'll use those.
All right, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So we could definitely have those weapons immediately at tier 1 because you're allowed 2 weapons of any choice, right? Oh, we get 1 expensive item, 2 moderately priced items, 4 inexpensive items. What I usually do with this is I wait till my character is fully built before I start customizing them with equipment because my concept of what they're wearing or what I want them to do might change as I'm building the character out, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I do the same thing.
Right. Okay, dude.
I was just saying, and then we move on to after we go through, your starting equipment and so on and so forth, it gives you a choice of abilities, special abilities that are basically, built for the character, for the character type. So.
Yeah, and each type has a long list of abilities. Where warrior has stuff like bash, combat prowess, improve edge, no need for weapons. It lets you pick additional skills, lets you be practicing armor. One ability that it gives you a tier 1 that I'm looking at, quick throw. I don't know if that stacks with throws with deadly accuracy, but it might be something we would be interested in.
Well, in the process of doing this, that's kind of the idea is you look at what's there. Now, right off the top for this particular type of character, because of how we were saying what he is, I would definitely take combat prowess. And if you look at combat prowess, it's located on page 120. And if you're using a PDF, they're hyperlinked, so you can just click on it and go right there. But if not, the page numbers are listed if you're using the physical book. What's nice about that, when you click on it and you check it out, combat prowess is an excellent ability for any warrior type. You automatically add +1 damage to one type of weapon attack of your choice, melee weapon attacks or ranged weapon attacks. So of course, his +1 will be in ranged weapon attacks. And it's an enabler.
Just so people, what's the difference? What is an enabler for someone that doesn't know?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Enablers automatically add something to your character, whether it's the +1 damage, whether it gives you an asset, which makes difficulties easier, so on and so forth. That's an enabler. You'll find them throughout the book, but they enable you to do something naturally without having to make a roll for her.
I would just modify. Yeah, an enabler, it just happens automatically. There's no roll required.
Correct.
Or it's constantly on your character no matter what. So if you have an ability that provides 1 point of armor and it's an enabler ability, you don't have to activate it. It's just on. All right, so we have our so we, for the sake of just for doing this, you said you want to take combat prowess. You want to take did you say anything else you wanted to take?
Well, yeah, combat prowess. Okay, the way I'm envisioning the character, like I said, he's a finesse character. So combat prowess would be number 1, +1 for ranged weapons. Next is control the field. This is a melee attack. It inflicts 1 point less damage than normal, but regardless of whether you hit or not, you maneuver your target into a position you desire within immediate range. So that would be another thing about him being finesse. He's smart. He's using his environment, so on and so forth. You know, the vision of the character unfolding the way you want it, you know. After that, I would go with, and it's kind of a toss up because I was looking at it, but I'm thinking because he is a warrior type and it is going to be necessary, you know, I'm going to go with improved edge, which allows him to take earn another one edge in one of his other abilities that he does not have edge in already. So ability number 3 would be improved edge. And of course, he's a warrior, so give him his, go ahead.
Can I take one just so?
Oh yeah, go for it. I mean, yes, switch it up.
Instead of the old combat related, I would take something that's non-combat related, just to show you that you could flesh out a character without just, you know, picking one aspect of the character. I would take I would take physical skills and take you get to pick 2 skills, so I guess I'll take running and swimming. So this person was an athlete prior to being a knife thrower or, you know, a combat something, just to flesh it out so everything isn't, you know, just one aspect of their character.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Improved edge isn't necessarily going to be combat related. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Could say he was a power lifter. You know, he's just pretty.
I've never been. You know what's funny? I just outside tangent. I noticed like we all have stuff when we build characters, and Improve Edge is one of your go-tos. I never take Improve Edge. Not that it's good. It just doesn't occur to me to, like, when I'm building a character.
Yeah, I mean, improved edge. I do use it. I think it's a good pop up. But you know what? Let's not go with it.
Oh yeah, I know it's good. I just, for some reason, I never take it. I'm not saying it isn't good. No, I was just responding to Alan chat.
You know, let's not use improved edge this time. Let's because you went with physical skills. Now we did talk about quick throw, but we're also talking about a character who isn't kind of up and personal, so he's probably going to rely on his agility. So let's go with trained without armor.
Trained without armor. Okay.
So that's his.
All right, so now we know we got a guy that likes to throw blunt objects but doesn't like to wear armor to protect himself.
Correct.
So he might be. I'm thinking ninja or something in that area.
Yeah, ninja. You know, you were saying he was an athlete beforehand. Maybe he was a gymnast. Yeah. You know, something along that line.
All right, so before we go into like tier 2, 3 or warrior, what was your descriptor that you picked?
We need to go to his descriptor, which is intuitive. Yeah, we need to get tier 1 all together first before we start talking about tiering up.
Yeah, yeah, that was tier 1 though. That's everything you get from tier 1.
Right. So intuitive is on page. What page is that? So on page 49 of the book, 51 of the PDF. And intuitive is a pretty cool ability, the way it's set up. It says you're often tickled by a sense of knowing what someone will say, how they will react, or how events might unfold. Maybe you have a mutant sense. Maybe you can see just a few moments ahead through time, or maybe you're just good at reading people and extrapolating a situation. Whatever the case, many who look into your eyes immediately glance away as if afraid of what you might see in their expression. So, cool part about this is you gain the following characteristics. You get an additional 2 points to your intellect pool. So now your intellect pool is an 11, and it's kind of nice because now all your abilities, all your pools are double digits.
Actually, it's 9, it's 11. Yeah, we had a 9 on it.
Yeah.
And you train the perception tasks.
Correct.
So you know why I like, the reason why I like you picked intuitive, because it isn't it doesn't immediately jump out with your focus and your type.
Right.
You know, so it kind of plays against it. So now it helps us build what our high concept of our character is now. You know, with so the +2 to intellect, you might look at it and go, oh, hey, that actually doesn't help us mechanically any. But if we go on with the concept that this person might have been a gymnast or a martial artist in some sense, you know, it kind of makes sense that they will have a high IQ and be intuitive or be instinctive. That's why they get they trained in perception.
Well, and that's another thing when you think about how Cypher is run and how the flexibility, the modularity of it. If you have an intuitive character, you can actually kind of broker into that, lean into that, you know, especially with the fact that you get perception and then you get another ability called know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can act immediately if it's not your turn, which is kind of cool. Now, afterwards, of course, your regular turn or any next action you take is hindered. But you can do this one time, and the ability is renewed each time you make a recovery roll. So that's kind of really cool because that intuitive nature does not always have to be related to something physical either. That gives you, kind of relates to the idea that you're being spiritually, your character is spiritual, or your mind is being trained as well as your body.
You know what this is giving me now? It's giving me the, if we're gonna go old Marvel comics, it's giving me that Bullseye vibe.
Yeah,
You know,
bullseye, or Stick, or any of those guys. That's
and that's actually a really cool ability, especially if you're a ranged character and you're behind on the initiative order, but you know that you want to act first because what you do impacts the rest of the party. Like you want to. I'll give you just a random scenario that I'm thinking off the top of my head. Your characters are in a corridor, and all the way on the other end of the corridor, there's a door that's being burst open with a bunch of baddies. Right, the GM has to roll initiative. You roll a 2 or a 3. You're 5 or 6 on initiative, but you want to throw your option to slam the door shut to give your characters either the other characters time to run and escape or set up to attack. You could now use know what to do ability. I'm an active midi. I'm gonna jump myself to the front of the order. I'm gonna slam this door shut, give my party time to react and to do whatever actions they have to do.
Exactly.
So yeah, I like this. And who says a warrior can't be intelligent? So you could always lean in if you have a lot of points in intellect. Apply effort on perception rolls. Apply effort on any conversation roles that you think would are important to the scene or the party.
Exactly. I mean that's exactly the whole thing behind the character and the idea of what I was thinking about with this character when we started out.
And just so everyone knows, we actually the basis of this conversation was to go over the progression. So we want to level this character up to tier 6. So with your descriptor, what you get from your descriptors are front loaded. And what I mean by that is that you get everything at the very beginning of the game. So that doesn't apply to type and focus, which actually gradually improves and you get additional stuff as we level. But with the descriptor, what you get from the very beginning is what you have for the duration of your character.
So next thing we need to look at, again, characters being developed and brought together, we need to go ahead and look at that focus of throws with deadly accuracy. And the overview of that is on page 77 of the book, or 79 in the PDF. And what's really cool about this is this is everything that leaves your hand goes exactly where you'd like it to go at the range and speed to make the perfect impact. So I said, he uses blunt weapons, but that doesn't mean he can't throw anything he wants, which is really cool. And at tier 1, you get the ability called precision. Okay, and
And yeah,
precision,
precision basically just gives you two extra points of damage.
right. So when you think about that, throwing his weapon, now right off the muscle, he's got 3 extra points of damage that he does automatically. So even throwing a light weapon, he's doing 5 points of damage.
And
Which
even
is,
that, since we chose warrior, that means that we're practiced in medium weapons. So there's no reason why we can't choose like a heavy club. You say he's throwing a blunt object. He could throw a
right,
medium weapon. So
right.
so at tier 1, he could be doing 6 points of damage with no effort in damage.
7.
Or
7
7
points.
points of damage with no effort included.
Exactly. Which is pretty beefy, considering we're not talking about a superhero game. We're just talking about a regular mundane character in a world, depending on how you wanted to break that down. So
Mike, hold on a second. Mike asked, what does practice mean? Practice means that you could use a weapon. When you're practicing a weapon in these, you could use a weapon without any penalty. If you're not practicing it, you're basically hindered in using a weapon, or the same thing applies for armor. Now, if you trained in the weapon, you actually get an asset to using the weapon.
exactly. So that being said, Anthony, you want to?
Oh, let me just clarify one more thing. Even if you're not practiced in the weapon, you could still attempt to use it. It's just that you're hindered. That means it's one step more difficult.
And before we go any further, let's just put that out there so people understand something as well. In Cypher System, you make a difficulty roll versus everything. Difficulties range from 1 to 10 in a normal game, and whatever that number difficulty is, you multiply that number by 3, and that's the target number you need to hit on a 20-sided die. And where we're talking about not being hindered, if for example, if I said it was a difficulty 3, but your character's hindered, then for you it's a difficulty 4.
Which means you now need a 12.
So now you need a 12 or better instead of a 9. Just for quick clarification on that particular topic. So
yeah, I apologize. We used to, most of our streams usually, we have a small following, so most of the people that actually watch our streams play Cypher, but I'm so happy that we're getting so many new people wanting to learn the system. So sometimes if we say something that and we jump the gun and we don't fully explain ourselves, please in chat let us know if anything we say you want an explanation for, we'll gladly explain it.
exactly. So with that being said, we're going to move on to tier 2 and show you how the character moves forward. Now,
all right, so Dean, how do you want to do this? So, okay, so you have your character now, right?
Correct.
All right, so you have your tier 1 ability from your focus. You pick your 4 abilities from your type, and then you have the front-loaded abilities from your descriptor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you managed to pick up the 4 point. I mean, actually you need a total of 16 XP
16 points, 16 XP.
Advance to tier 2, but you've been in a great campaign. This character looks like it might either be could be fit into a modern fantasy game. It could fit into a martial arts game.
It could fit into a futuristic game.
Low-end supers. Numenera could definitely fit in the Numenera, the Strange. There's a ton of things that could fit. So now that you're tiering up, you got and everyone knows in order for you to advance to the next tier, you have to pick you have to pick 4 advancements over the course of whatever sessions you have, and each advancement costs 4 XP points. And we didn't fully get into this, but the advancements scale from either getting an additional recovery roll, an additional skill, 4 more points to be divided amongst your pools. Am I missing anything?
Well, here, let's make it easy on ourselves. I'll just pull up a character sheet. But yeah, you can also, there are also other things that you can do, but literally you have to spend 16 XP and take 4 advancements in various areas because there's not just,
Al, can you just pull the advancement list up so we could just actually state them?
yeah, we can do that. That's easy too.
Yeah, I think one of the most underused advancements that people tend to forget about is the extra recovery roll.
I use that one almost exclusively. That's like one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking in the book. I have the physical book here too. Al, can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
I think we lost Al. Okay, I got it right here.
It's
4 points to your pool.
what's the page?
I'm just looking at the character sheet at the end of the book. So it'd be
Oh, well, I'll go to the advancement page. I tell you go ahead and start.
445, the character sheet. So you can either get 1 additional skill, extra effort, what you call it, 4 points to your pool or extra edge. And then they have another group of side ones that you could choose from. And it tells you in the advanced course, and that's where the extra recovery roll is. That's all you get on your character sheet.
Right. Now that's just on the character sheet alone. But you know, within the pages of the book, they do have like other.
Oh yeah, the armor one is too. You get a point in your armor. Yeah, that's also a great point. We can go past tier 6 and keep on still using the advancements. But tier 6 is pretty darn strong. You'll see by the end of this that a tier 6 character does a whole lot of stuff.
So real quick, if you look on page 240 or 242 of the PDF, there is, you know, the rules about advancement, and there are other options. Of course, we said reduce the cost of wearing armor. This lowers the speed penalty. Recovery roll. Select another focus ability available to you at tier 3. You must be tier 3 or higher to do this. Characters advancing beyond tier 6 can use this option to select their other tier 6 focus ability. Select another character ability from your type, such as a tier 2 warrior, selecting reload or crushing blow. So you can always do that as well. The GM, because of the flexibility of the game itself, of the system itself as well, can set other parameters that if they consider those worthy of advancement. But again, it's 16 points to go from tier to tier.
All right, guys, this is the reason why I think the confusion lies from people coming outside of Cypher System when they say that character advancement is the one of the concepts I hear is that you don't seem like you get more powerful, or it's like you don't have enough options in character advancement in Cypher System. And I think it's because they're viewing it from the wrong lens. You're not mechanically building, you're not gradually growing in strength like you do in other systems. Cypher System allows you to build your character mechanically stronger as well as narratively stronger. So, you know, depending on how you want to build it. So I could turn around and say, hey, I want to use my 4 XP to get additional skills, and I might take non-combat related skills to flesh out the way my character's personality is. Like D might view it differently. D might be like, hey, I want to make my character stronger, so I'm gonna take another ability, or I'm going to reduce my cost of wearing armor. So you actually have more decisions to make your character unique than you do in other systems, in my opinion.
And to make this work out like in a really interesting way, Anthony, let's do this collaboratively. because you're coming from your lens and my lens. So you take tier 2. We built tier 1. We built tier 1 together. Now you take tier 2. Put the 4 abilities.
All right, so I'll do the
16
4
points.
advancements first because we're at this page right now.
Right, and then I'll do tier 3.
All right, so my 4 advancements is all right. I always take skills. So we chose running and swimming as our first skills. So I'm gonna take 2 intellect skills now, and I'm gonna take Chinese lore as one and origami as another.
So real quick, Anthony,
Yeah.
real quick, because on the list for warrior,
Mhm.
that's not anything listed in their character progression. So this
Yeah,
is
but I'm
something that
not using the list from warrior. I'm using the advancement list, the skill list from that.
No, I'm
Choose
saying,
one
are you
skill other than attacks. Oh, I can only choose one skill. So I'm
no? 'Cause
choosing.
what I was going to say is
Yeah.
you can't do that. You just have to pick a flavor. You use flavor, use knowledge flavor, and you would get the 2 intellect skills like that if you took knowledge. And
Oh no! I took those 2 skills at the beginning. I'm tearing up.
right, and if
Yeah.
you look at knowledge, it tells you the same thing.
No, but on the tier up, you only get 1 skill, not 2.
Go to flavors and look at knowledge.
Yeah, Dean, I'm doing the tearing up. I'm not doing the type 2 yet. You're confused.
No, I'm not. Because even with you can go to flavors and use your tiering up.
Let's not spend 20 minutes on this.
Okay.
You said I could do it. I'm doing it. I'm choosing I'm choosing Chinese lore as my 1 skill from tearing up. Right? I'm taking the extra recovery roll, the 2 points to the recovery roll, that's 2. I'm taking, since you didn't take extra effort, I will now take extra effort. So that's 3. And I'll take the 4 points to my pool.
All right. So what are the
So
pools?
now I'm tier 2. Now I could go back to warrior. This is where you was talking about. Now I could take at tier 2, I could take the skill flavor and pick 2 additional abilities.
So real quick, Anthony.
Yeah.
What is that you took 4 points? Where are you adding those 4 points in?
Oh, I'm going to say 2 speed, 2 might. And now that I'm tier 2, I get to pick a list of 2 abilities. I'm taking successive attack, which successive attack gives you, let me see exactly what it gives you. If you take a foe down, you can immediately attack another foe. That actually makes sense. You throw something, you hit them, you can hit the other one. The second attack is part of the same action. So I'm taking that. And I am taking since we already established that we're not wearing armor, I'm gonna take skilled in defense. So it makes you trained in speed defense tasks.
Which now makes him specialized because he was trained without armor.
Yep. And now what channel, what page was throws with accuracy on again?
77, I think. No, it's actually 77, 79 on the PDF.
So, and I don't get a decision at tier 2. I get 1 ability for throws with accuracy for my foci, and it's careful aim. So that now gets added into my sheet, and you see our character starting to flesh out. So I'm trained in all attacks with weapons that you throw. So you're now specialized in all your throwing weapons.
which is really beefy.
Yeah. So now every time you do, our character's attempting to throw something at it, it knocks down whatever the target number by 2. So if we're trying to hit something that's level 2 or below, we automatically hit them.
Exactly.
So now you get tier 3, Dean.
All right. So
But
as
you see
far
what
as
I'm
my
talking about with the
as
skill.
far as my level up options,
Mhm.
I'm going to go ahead and take the +2 on the recovery rolls.
Yep. So now you +4 on recovery roll.
+5 because you get +1 at the first level base.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you got to take the pool points. Those are always important because we're going to tier 3. So those pool points, I'm going to add 2 more to speed, making that a 17, and add 2 to intelligence, making that a 13, keeping might at a 15. Since we didn't do it last time, got to add +1 to edge, giving him an edge of 2 now instead of 3.
So he has 2 effort, 2 edge.
Well, he's 3 effort. You get an effort. No,
Oh yeah, you got an effort for. No, you have to pick it in your.
you have to pick it. So did you pick effort last time?
Yeah, I picked effort. I didn't pick edge.
And I'll give him another one, so he'll have 3 effort.
Yep.
And that additional edge will be added to speed. So he's going to have 2 edge and speed.
All right, Dean, before you go any further into the actual character advancement, Super Matt wrote, skill section is very loose. I don't know if I missed any of the rules that state how skills you start with, but my friends and I have always played by this rule. If it makes sense for your character to have the skill, then you have that skill. One of the things I just want to say about skills is just because the skill isn't in the book doesn't mean that it's not part of your universe or whatever world you're playing. We make up skills all the time. One of the famous stories I love to tell is in Dean's Unmasked campaign. I had a skill called Reaganomics because I was playing a character based on Alex Keaton for Family Ties. And there's no book that has a skill named Reaganomics. And it was a totally useless skill for the 4 sessions. It might have came up like twice, but it made sense for my character. So we literally make up skills all the time. So if it makes sense for your character and you're willing to spend the point to have that skill, then go ahead. None of those skills are like groundbreaking.
Again, let me say this on skills as well. Cypher System having a skill does not just means you're practiced. You can have any skills you want. You're just not trained. You just don't get any bonuses on it. It's only when you start getting into things that you're trained in that a skill list makes a difference. And that's why Cypher System skill list is built the way it is. Because everybody can drive. You got a driver's license, but everybody's not Mario Andretti, or everybody's not trained in combat driving like you would learn, say in the military or, through the CIA or something like that. If you were playing a Fast and Furious game, then, driving skills will become paramount. But if you're just playing, a different kind of game, guess what? You can make a drive attempt, but it's just not trained. It's just practiced.
Now,
that's how I kind of
airplane. It would be something that you need the skill.
Correct.
You can attempt it, but it's going to be very painful.
Very painful and difficult. So,
but the point I was just trying to make is the skills that are in the book are not the only skills that should be in your game or in any of the setting game. The only thing I usually ask my players is have the skill make sense for their character. Like if we're playing a medieval fantasy and somebody wants a refrigeration skill, like a HVAC mechanic, and we're playing Toeless, like that doesn't make any sense. But have it make sense for your character and the setting, and 99 out of 100, you're gonna be able to use this skill.
Yeah.
And
So
D knows I like stupid skills, so I'm always
so again, continue with our concept. Okay, Anthony, just throwing it out there. We said we could put this character in any setting.
Yeah.
Give me the setting. Because that's going to determine what I go for as my third tier warrior abilities. What setting are we? Sci-fi, futuristic, sci-fi, fantasy.
I'm saying this is gonna. If you give me the choice, then I'm doing my kooky one shots, and I'm going. This is Karate Kid.
Okay. Well, it's a Karate Kid-esque world.
Yeah.
So, all right. Then my third tier warrior abilities, they say I get 3. And I'm going to do something a little different. My first 2 are definitely going to come off the warrior list, but then I'm going to go into flavors, which we didn't touch on. But flavors are another way that the game allows you to flesh out your character. It allows you to deviate from the typical path, if you wanted to make, something a little different. So I'm thinking, because of, what this character is, and, he said the Karate Kid, then it has to be something kooky. And you brought up Bullseye earlier. So the first ability I'm going to take is Trick Shot. And Trick Shot is located on page 194 and of the book, or 196 of the PDF. And basically it says, as part of the same action, you can make a ranged attack against 2 targets that are within immediate range of each other. Make a separate attack roll for each target. The attack rolls are hindered. But, with that kind of effort and everything else, that would be so cool for this character to be able to, bounce his blunt objects off of other things and, bang a couple of people in the head or whatever. So that's the first one I'm going to take. The other one I think would be good is, now it's kind of a toss-up, and it's either reaction or seize the moment. Reaction basically states that your character, if a creature you attack on your last turn with a melee attack uses an action to move out of immediate range, you gain an action to attack the creature as a parting blow, even if you've already taken a turn that round. That's pretty cool. And it kind of gives that character that flavor of kind of, that he's pretty quick with his throwing. But seize the moment, I think, is really cool too.
You get 3 abilities at tier 3 though.
I know, but I'm taking 2 from here and 1 flavor.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I messed that up.
So seize the moment is on page 181 of the book, or 183 of the PDF. And it says, if you succeed on a speed defense roll to resist an attack, you gain an action. You can use that action immediately if you have already taken a turn in the round, and you don't take an action during the next round unless you apply effort when you seize the moment. That's pretty cool though. You might give up your action the next round, but the reality of it is, just in that moment, it's like those scenes in the movies. And that's what I relate a lot of what I look at when I look at building the Cypher characters, how I see my character in a movie or on a TV show.
So this is cool because I'm now viewing this, if we're doing Karate Kid, right? I'm thinking over dramatic martial arts schools pitted against each other.
Exactly. With basically Cobra Kai.
Yeah. And this character either is a teacher or comes from a school that deals with like ranged weapons, or not necessarily hand combat, but so if now we build a character and craft the story, it'll be like we'll have 4 characters for 4 different schools trying to accomplish some sort of goal.
Right. So I think because of the way this character is shaping up, I think I'm gonna go with reaction. No, actually, I'm gonna actually definitely go with seize the moment. I think that's gonna be cool, because it puts him in a different mode when you think about it. So seize the moment, and then as far as flavors are concerned, I'm going to,
Dean, just so we character question, you chose seize the moment, right?
Yes.
And I gave him, I made him what you call. I gave him an asset in speed defense rolls. So those two abilities actually work hand in hand because since they specialize in speed defense rolls, it's easier for them to do a speed defense roll, and every time they do a speed defense roll and succeed, they have an option of seizing the moment. So like those two abilities work well in conjunction with one another.
So, and again, we're playing Karate Kid. We have to have, but it's a modernized world. I'm going to take a technology-based ability, and I'm going to make him a hacker. I'm going to take the tier 1 tech ability hacker, which is on page. Okay, he hacks computers. Maybe he's going to hack into their computers and change everybody's belt ratings and stuff, before the tournament or whatever, But hacker is on page 147 of the book, 149 of the PDF. And basically, you gain quick access to desired bits of information in the computer or similar devices you access one of its primary functions. And here's the thought process behind it. We're building this character up, and like we said before, we don't want the character to just be a one-trick pony. We're trying to flesh him out. So I'm thinking that the reason why this character excelled in throwing weapons and his dodging capabilities, so that he's probably a smaller guy. He's a bit of a nerd, and he doesn't like, not that he can't fight, but he don't really like to get into physical confrontation. So he wants to end it from a distance.
I was thinking the hacker of if you taking hacker to view it the other way, he's more of a pickpocket. He breaks locks, breaks into cars, hot wiring, as opposed to hacking computers. So he's that guy that eventually when you break it into the other school, he actually knows how to break into the other school or something like that. But either way, it works.
Either one, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying to flesh the character out, to give him some more wiggle room.
So what do you get? So is that everything for your type for tier 3?
That's everything for my type for tier 3.
So now you have to go to your focus, right?
And my focus, it will be either trained in speed defense or
your focus.
Yeah, my focus is it's tier 3, so you get one or the other ability. And it's either quick throw.
What page is that on, D?
What was it, 79?
Okay, I got it. Oh, quick throw?
It's quick throw or skill with defense. So we didn't take quick throw.
No, I took it at tier 1.
Oh, okay. So if you took quick throw at tier 1 and we took skill with defense at tier 2, there's no focus ability right now to take.
Yes, you can. You can take skill with might defense. Skill with
defense, or even better than that.
Or take skill with defense again, and you just impossible to hit speed.
Well, no, I'm saying if I did speed defense, right? So skill with a defense, we could take, let's take intellect defense, because like I said, maybe he's a little nerdy and people like to pick on him and stuff, but guess what? He's got a smart mouth. He got a quick tongue.
Oh, skill with intellect defense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go with skill with intellect defense.
So yeah, the point we try to make from this video, from what we get a lot, is that you might not have the mathematical advancement in leveling that you normally get from other systems that just bombard you with additional powers and feats, and your character is just progressing mechanically through the roof as you level. Cypher gives you the option to just flesh out your character, and if you take all the physical benefits as you're leveling in Cypher, you can make a super OP powerful character. But is that really fun? I like to level and build and flesh out my character.
Well, and again, let's back up a second and reiterate what we're talking about. We're talking about a narrative game. Yes, the narrative game can have lots of action and so on and so forth. You're telling an action story, but again, it also is about a story. So if your character can't do anything but fight, isn't anything but strong, you know, are you going to feel left out when we're doing something social?
Or it can, I mean, it can be hella fun to just build a super powerful character too. I'm not even saying that. You know, what I'm just saying is the Cypher gives you the option to go the other route if you choose to.
Right, and I think what we're doing is just showing kind of an interesting balance, because this character is he's majorly kick ass at tier 3.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
now we're going to tier 4, right? So
Yep.
it goes back to me.
Yep.
All right, so now okay. Now we fleshed out our character. Our character is good at throwing things. We starting to figure out is kind of intelligent, right? So I'm gonna take the extra effort, the additional 4 points to the pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the extra ability because we haven't done that yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could take an additional tier 3 ability. And I'm gonna take Trick Shot with my tier 3 ability.
Didn't I take Trick Shot?
You took Trick Shot? That's the one that.
That's where you can hit 2 people. I took Trick Shot last level.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna take a different ability. I'll take. Let me see, tier 3 abilities. You took Trick Shot and Seize the Moment, right?
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna take expert Cypher use. I can get an extra Cypher now, so I can hold 3 Cyphers instead of 2.
Sweet.
And for my 4th tier up ability, I took the 4 points to my pool, the extra effort, the special ability, and I am going to take. I'm gonna take another skill, and my extra skill is I'm going to take. I already said Chinese lore as one of my skills. He has running and swimming as a skill. You gave him hacking as a skill.
You still want origami?
Yeah, why not? We'll give him origami.
All right.
And now we'll go to my the type, right?
Yeah, go to your tier 4 abilities from type.
All right. Those with deadly accuracy, I get specialized in throw. Oh, I get 2 things. Everything's a weapon. You can take any small object, a coin, a pen, a bottle, a stone, and throw it with such force that it inflicts light damage.
Are you looking at the focus ability?
Yeah.
You forgot to go. You forgot to go to your 4th tier warrior abilities first. You get 2 of those.
Okay, yeah. Let me do that then. I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, and I said type 2. That was my. All right, so I get to pick 2. So. Let's see what amazing effort does. Oh, I'll take amazing effort. You can apply at least 1 level of effort to a non-combat task, and you get a free level of effort on that task. When you choose this ability, decide if it applies on might effort or speed effort, and it's an enabler effort. It's basically any non-combat related action, I get a free level of effort, which is freaking cool. So I'm gonna take that, and since I took a non-combat ability, I'm definitely going to take a combat ability. What's Capable Warrior do?
+1 damage. Another +1 damage.
All right, I'll take Capable Warrior.
Nice.
So now we're doing 8 points of damage without applying effort.
Without applying effort.
Yeah. And now I'll go to my type.
I mean, your focus.
Coming to my focus. All right, so I get 2 things with my focus. I get everything's a weapon, which is pretty cool. That's the one that lets me throw any. I could turn anything into a weapon, into a light weapon. And the second thing I get is specialized throwing. Let me see what you are now specialized with all attacks with all weapons that you throw. So now it's super easy for me to hit with anything I throw. I am ridiculous when it comes to throwing stuff. Not only do I throw those big, like, we still haven't really fully decided what blunt object we're throwing, but whatever blunt object I'm throwing, I'm hitting you, I'm doing a shitload of damage, and it's super easy for me to hit you. So already by tier 4, if you're target 5 or 6, it doesn't matter to me. You know, I'm knocking that down to a level 3 roll already.
Without a single level of effort. That's just nasty.
Yeah, I'm hitting you, like Ken Hub said, I'm hitting you with origami paper stars all day.
Yeah, exactly. Paper cuts.
You remember the guy from the original Blade Runner that used to do the little origami?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's tier 4.
Yeah.
Now let's just recap the character real quick because we got 2 more tiers to go. So Anthony, where did you drop your 4 points, your 4 pool points?
Let's say 2 intellect, 1.
So intellect is now 14, speed is 18, and might is 16. So that's pretty beefy. This guy is versed in Chinese lore. He knows how to do origami really nice. So, you know, he's got Chinese and Japanese like locked up in there. He's a runner and a swimmer. He's specialized in speed defense. He has intellect defense. He does trick shots. He knows how to seize the moment. He has expert cipher use, which means 3 ciphers. Successive attacks, which means if he drops an opponent, he can continue on. This guy is pretty nasty. Also, he's a hacker, which means, and like you said, you know, maybe he hacks security systems, or, you know, he's a computer hacker or whatever. Like Anthony said, he could be a pickpocket, you know. And again, because it's Cypher, and if you're good enough at explaining how your abilities work, the GM most of the time is going to go, yeah, sure, you know, or is this difficulty? Simple as can be. So we're talking about, and he has 3 levels of effort and 3 levels of edge. No, 2 edge and speed, 1 edge and might. Right?
3 levels of effort.
And 3 levels of effort, correct. Wow. This guy's he's getting to be pretty beefy. So when we go to tier 5, I think I'm going to do it, Anthony, and go back to ability. Take a tier 4, another tier 4.
You're at type now, right, Dave?
Yeah, I'm at tier 5.
Oh no, you're doing the
I'm doing my 16 points.
Okay, yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do is take an ability, which will be another tier 4 ability. I'm going to take, of course, the 4 points because that's important. I'm going to take another 2 points, another +2 to my recovery rolls because that's important.
Maybe we need to take I noticed we haven't been taking the extra effort. Like we 2 efforts behind right now.
And I'm going to take effort.
Yeah. Those
would be my 4.
Yeah.
So we got 4 levels of effort now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, like I said, the extra ability. The extra ability I want to take, it's page 139. It's faint. This ability is going to be sick for him. If you use one action creating a misdirection or diversion, and the next round you can take advantage of your opponent's lower defense, make a melee attack roll against that opponent. You gain an asset on this attack. If your attack is successful, inflicts 4 additional points of damage. So he already does 8 points of damage, and with a feint maneuver, he can do 12.
And we have the way we built this guy is we get all sorts of extra attacks. If you miss the speed, if they miss you on the speed defense, we have the option for extra attack. We have the ability that allows you, if you hit somebody and down them, you get an extra attack. So we're building this guy as he's a range guy that could stack up attacks.
Correct. So those are his 4 points for 16 points. Then when you go to throws with deadly accuracy, oh no, let me go to his type abilities first. A 5th level warrior gets 3 abilities. So again,
guys, here's what 5th and 6th tier. Here's where you start getting the I'll beat the crap out of you abilities, the superhero level abilities.
Right. So picking up 3 abilities, I'm gonna first of all, he's already at 3 ciphers, per level. And why not? Let's go with adroit cipher use, which means he gets another one. So that means he can use 4 ciphers. He can carry 4 ciphers. Another ability that I think would be interesting, and again, this is because Cypher is built the way it is. He has quick throw, which means his ability has it's a bit of a rapid fire style attack. So I'm thinking arc spray, where basically in that round he'll and throw 3 or 4 throwing irons. He just like serves them up like they used to do with the ninja stars.
What does arc spray do?
If a weapon has the ability to fire rapid shots without reloading, usually called rapid fire weapons, such as a crank crossbow, you can fire your weapon.
That doesn't apply to throwing weapons, to hand throwing weapons.
But you could adjust it. But okay, I won't do that. But I wanted to.
I mean, that you could pick it, but you would need the GM's approval on that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That would be a GM approval thing. But so we instead of using that one, let's go with jump attack. Jump attack is on page 156, 158 of the PDF. And it says you attempt a difficulty 4 might roll to jump high into the air as part of your melee attack action. If you succeed at the jump, your attack hits and inflicts 3 additional points of damage, and you knock the foe prone. It also says if you fail the jump, you still make your normal attack roll, but you don't inflict the extra damage or knock the opponent down. In addition to normal options for using effort, you could choose to use effort to enhance your jump. Each level of effort used in this way adds +2 feet to the height and +1 to the damage of the attack action. So I'm thinking, again, like we said, he's not necessarily your typical melee fighter, but he does need you never know when he has to get into a scrap. And
it's the first ability we took to take points from might, which we have.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is actually a really cool ability.
It really is. So Ketup says something funny. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's 2 abilities. And the third one that I'm thinking about, let me look at that real quick, is see, this one is hard. Only because
I like Perry.
I do too. I'm torn between parry and improved success.
Yeah, improved success. Let me see what that does.
It will improve success here. When you roll a 17 or higher on the attack roll that deals damage, you deal an additional 1 point of damage. For instance, if you roll an 18, which normally deals 2, you deal 3 points of damage. If you roll a 20, you choose to deal more damage. Instead of the achieve special major effect, you can do 5 extra points. So that's really beefy. Yeah. But parry, on the other hand, I can see him throwing his irons to block stuff like out of the air.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Somebody's getting ready to hit you with a sword, and he and deflects the sword. So I think I'm gonna go with parry.
or he could use his origami shield that he made.
Exactly. So I think we'll go with Perry. And Perry says, where's it at? Perry's on page 168, 170 of the PDF. And it basically says you can deflect incoming attacks quickly. When you activate this ability for the next 10 rounds, you ease all speed defense rolls, enabler. So, and what that means is that's not an asset, that's an asset on the roll. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's already specialized.
Yeah.
So in a situation like that, that's like 3 levels of easement. Like Anthony was saying earlier, you're facing off against a level 5 guy. Well, now that his attack just became a level 2 because you decided to deflect it. You decided to parry it.
Yeah, our guy is specialized in all sorts of crap.
Yeah.
So that was all. Did you do that was your focus ability, right?
No, those are my 3 those are my 3 abilities from tearing up. And then my focus ability.
This is another you get no, you don't get a choice. You just get 2 things, right?
No, just get one. No, just get one. It's Whirlwind of Throws, page 198. This ability is stupid. Basically, with a large handful of small objects, tiny knives, shurikens, stones, jagged bits of metal, coins, or whatever is on hand, you attack every creature in an immediate area and within short range. You must make an attack roll against each target. Each attack is hindered, but you inflict 3 points of damage on the targets you hit. That's huge. That's like stupid.
No, you know what I picture something like this? You got a bag full of pennies, and you could throw it at a crowd of like 50 people, and you just roll 50 times. Everybody's getting hit with a penny. You get a penny. You get a penny. Hit everybody.
Everybody gets a penny. Al just said this guy is spinning Whirlwind of Origami.
Yeah.
That's what he keeps a bunch of origami in a little satchel.
No, what I could picture too is like there's a whole bunch. I picture our character like standing on a hill, and down the hill is a whole army, and somebody's with him. And he's like, "Hey, you can't fight these guys." And he pulls out a pack of loose leaf paper. Hold my beer.
Or a bag of marbles. And real quick, I just wanted to make it a point. Ketup has made a point earlier. He said anyone says that, but that's not by Raw, just really doesn't know Cypher, maybe missing a few points. I tell my players all the time, haggle with me. And that's
Cypher System, or at least how we've played, and we've played with the creators of Cypher System. Cypher System is always been about a discussion between the player and the GM. Because 9 out of 10 times, the ultimate goal is to tell an interesting story. And if most GMs, if what you're trying to accomplish, if you can explain narratively why it makes sense, most GMs are going to allow you to do the kooky things you want to do if there's a good explanation behind it.
And Monty Python in the chat said too, 1000% not a typo. As a GM, I have all the dials to adjust up or down. I'm more a concierge than a GM. I like it. I like it a lot.
Mm. Yeah, it's the rule of cool, right?
Right.
I've been the rule of cool since first edition D&D. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, us old people have, but older people. I won't even say because I'm not old. I'm just older.
Oh,
but
you're older than dirt, dude.
But that's just it. You know what? Let's have some fun. When we do this thing. I heard you. I'm just ignoring.
That was hilarious. Dude was like, I heard you. I'm just want to finish my sentence.
I heard you. Hold my beer.
All right, so you take a Whirlwind of Throws, right?
Yeah, that's what that comes with it.
So now we're on tier 6, right?
Yep.
Oh god damn, we're moving along here. All right, so let's see. All right, let me go to type. Oh no, first I'm taking the extra effort and edge because we haven't taken them both consecutively at any turn, I think, right?
Right. So that puts us at a 5 effort and a 4 edge.
I'm taking I'm taking I'm taking another skill, and since we going with the origami, I'm taking sculpting. So it gives me an asset to my origami if I want to make something even more like unique, or so hopefully I could so I'm taking sculpting as my skill.
You're a master of paper mache.
Yeah. And my fourth thing I'm taking is what you call it, the extra 4 points.
So
I'm gonna take a 2 to speed and 1 to might, 1 to intellect.
all right. You took skill, 4 points. Okay.
Yo, solo RPG guy said I'm going outside to look at my dirt to see if it's older indeed. I'll be right back.
Probably not solo.
All right. So okay, so that's what I take. So now I'm gonna go to my type and see what we got for type. I think we have an interesting character here.
I do too.
All right, so tier 6 types. I get 2 abilities. All right, I don't know what this does, but it just sounds hella cool. Magnificent moment. So I'm gonna look at that first. All right, what does magnificent moment give me?
If you make an attack or attempt a task with an immediate action, you gain by seize the moment. The attack or task is eased. Enabler. That's pretty nice.
All right, I'll take that. I'm taking that, and I get 1 more ability. Let's see what my 1 more ability is. Our guy's all about extra attacks and extra actions and throwing crap at people. All right. So let me see what again and again does. Again and again.
Oh, that's a stupid ability too.
Oh, I gotta take again and again. Because remember, I just said we all about taking extra actions. You take an additional action in a round in which you already acted.
Nice.
So technically, our character could have 3 actions in a round.
Yep.
Or 3 attacks in a round. So yeah, I'm taking again and again, and oh yeah, he's ridiculously strong. I only get to pick 2, right?
Yeah, only 2, and then you go to your tier ability. I mean your foci ability, and you get 2, one or the other.
All right, so here's my throws with deadly accuracy. I either get to choose between lethal damage and mastery of defense. You see, I don't know if lethal damage fits our character, because I don't, for some reason, I don't think our character is a person that's trying to kill people necessarily. So let me look at master defense.
Basically, you choose one type of defense in which you are trained, might, speed, or intellect, and you are now specialized in that defense task.
But we currently specialize in 2 of them already.
No, we're only specialized in 1.
Speed?
We specialize in speed, but we have might defense and intellect defense.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take the even though the other ability is broken, I don't think it makes sense for our character.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take the masters in defense, and I'm gonna take that we master in intellect defense. So not only we fast, we super smart.
So when we look at this character as a whole, he is, of course, he's a warrior, but I think what we've shown here is that you can have a warrior that still has some other aspects to his personality. You know, he's not just a one-trick pony. This guy, yes, he's all about throwing his weapons. He's all about making multiple attacks in a round if he has to, but giving him intellect defense, and we're talking about playing a game like Karate Kid or something, then that means I see that as him being kind of smart in the mouth, where he's like really quick with it, and they can't, you can't call him a nerd or rib on him too hard. He's quick like that. Origami, Chinese lore, the hacking ability, sculpting. So he's kind of well rounded. He just happens to excel physically when it comes to, throwing items. I mean, he has expert
And
Cypher.
defense. He's high defense, high range.
Highly defensible character, which I think, translates in of itself to, a really interesting character and a fun character to play if, if you're looking at it through those lenses. So
chat asked a question about uneven tiers in games. That tends to come up when you have campaigns and you have we have disagreements about this all the time. I personally don't mind uneven tiers. I don't mind. I think people should spend the XP however the hell they want. If you want to level up your character, you want to hoard your XP, I think that's entirely up to you. But I don't think Cypher System isn't as dependent on abilities and hit points. I use that in quotation marks as other systems because it's a system designed more on resource management. So it could be handled as the players. So if you're a tier 4 character and you're running around with a bunch of tier 5s because you spent all your points on player intrusions and stuff like that, you just gotta apply less effort until you catch up.
Right. And I got a few questions that I'm asking. Now we just went through this entire thing of building a character from the ground up and showing people how a character goes from tier 1 to tier 6, how rich they are. But in that same breath, Anthony, in your opinion, why is character progression so important, to the GM and the Cypher System, and the players?
I mean, I think character progression is important from a player standpoint because it allows you to visually see how your character is not only progressing physically, but is progressing as a narratively as a character as a whole, right? Like you could use your progression, like as in picking skills and picking abilities according to what happened in the narrative. Because at every stage, you have an ability to make a choice, right? So, you could be spending your advancements. A perfect example is your guys have an adventure in a chocolate factory, and your character happens to fall in a vat of chocolate, and it took a while for everyone to pull you out of the vat, and you almost suffocated, right? The next time you have an advancement, you pick a skill of holding your breath because of the action that happened in the last adventure. So it's not more of a, hey, you get this, set list of skills. It gives you the opportunity to build your character through the experiences of gameplay, if that makes any sense.
And see, and that's what I'm saying. So for me, like I said, because I just wrote a few notes about it, but I said, for me, it's like the imperative of the narrative. When your players are engaged, then your story isn't hollow, and it also allows players to become intimate with their characters on another level, which adds a richness that they're going to give back to you in the narrative. They're going to give you things as a GM to work with if you allow them to have this rich character and, give them agency in the narrative. So starting a character at tier 1 really teaches you the system, to both the player and the GM. And so I'm saying taking players on a journey and progressing them through the builds connections between the players and the GM, but also the setting. You really feel ingratiated in the setting. It becomes a real world that you look forward to, taking your time in. And the last thing, not only does it, enhance the enjoyment, but it also makes it easier for players and the GM to tweak the system, and get the most out of the modularity of Cypher. So you would you agree on any of those?
Absolutely. I think everything you said was pretty spot on. I mean, character progression for every system is different, right? And I will say this, that it can get a little wonky at higher levels in Cypher System if the GM isn't careful, because you have to adjust your playstyle, because the players start to be able to do some way extraordinary things, especially at tier 5 and tier 6. But it just takes a little GM adjustment, in my opinion.
Right. And then lastly, how does character development affect the stories that can be told?
Oh, I mean, it kind of touched on what I just said. And this applies to not only Cypher System, this applies to any role-playing game. As a GM, you should be aware on what is on your player's character sheets. I think that mistake happens a lot. Like, people tend to be like, oh, yeah, level up your character. And then you spend 30 minutes designing a specific scene, not realizing someone took an ability that's just going to bypass all the work you did. So it's knowing what's on your player's character sheets and adjusting accordingly. And this Cypher System is no different. With Cypher System, though, the MacGuffin could come from a lot of different places as opposed to just a physical ability. Because you could have a social confrontation or a social situation or scenario that you're planning, not realizing that the player, like I just said, the characters specialize in sculpting and origami. So the whole museum scene you had could be just bypassed by somebody being specialized in a specific skill.
And so, and my thought process to that is, another reason why it's really big is because players and GMs won't be overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices. You kind of ease into it. If you're doing this, if you're progressing through the tiers and you're getting your abilities as they come along, those new abilities will come into play, but the old abilities are still there that will be fallen back upon, and you don't forget that you have this. Another thing that I like to point out is players and GMs begin to see the undercurrent of the system. And it helps the GM develop his storytelling style, and it also helps players develop their player style with that GM. And I think it takes a lot of pressure off the GM as well when players understand the progression through the system as well. But then in the same breath, it gives the players agency to want to be able to take the reins of the story sometimes. It might even inspire somebody else to be a GM. But it also give you the ability to use your player intrusions, which we didn't even talk about. That'll probably be another video that we're going to come back to and really delve into the concept of intrusions and how they can play out in this same idea.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go back and touch on a lot of stuff. Like, if you're looking for an in-depth learning experience, we're probably not the channel for you. We're more of an instinctive, give our opinions type of channel, but there's definitely great channels out there like Infinite Construct, Ken Hup, that you could definitely go check out, and they're going to give you an in-depth, like, these are how the rules work. We more just a bunch of old guys that like to BS about our favorite system, but we're definitely going to go back and do great interviews. But we're definitely going to go back and touch a lot of these original topics that of Cypher System that we might have done a couple of years ago before the world turned upside down and all these people are getting into Cypher System. And like what Dean said, we'll do another intrusion episode. We'll do another just to give you our point of view.
And the other thing that I wanted to say with that, like Anthony was saying, is that we're going to go back and do, and we're going to try to be more informative with these new videos, and look at things, and just hit me right now. The best thing to do, I have the character written out. I have all the information. We'll be able to use this same character and reference back to him in our next video, whatever we're talking about, intrusions or whatever. But this might become our standard Cypher guide for the time being. You know, unless it comes up that we need to make somebody else. But we've got somebody who runs from tier 1 to tier 6, fully fleshed out. And I think, you know, this came along really, really nicely.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, our ultimate goal was to just show somebody, because this question was asked, what would our thought process tearing up from tier 1 to tier 6? I think we did that. I think, and I know Karate Kid was a kooky idea, but you could just fit this character into Numenera, the Strange, Gods of the Fall, like pretty much.
In the Sky, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part about Cypher. Any character you create is viable just anywhere. So, Anthony?
Yeah, so before I sign us off, I just want to say that first off, if you're new here, welcome. We're happy to have you. We've been seeing a tremendous amount of growth not only on our YouTube channel, our Twitch streams, but the Discord server. And yes, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you stay and stick around for our crazy antics that we do. And just to touch on another things, we have some really big events happening on not only the Discord server, but the Twitch stream within the next 3 or 4 weeks. There's some really exciting news. I think I could actually say this, but in another 2 weeks or so, we have the entire NCG team coming on the Discord server for AMA. Yes, I mean the entire design team. That means Monty, Shauna, Bruce, Dominique. Am I missing anyone?
I have to look. Did you say Sean?
The design team will be on our Discord live answering your questions, and we'll put up an official announcement soon with the actual dates. But you could come and ask them yourself on the Cypher Unlimited Discord server, whatever questions you want to ask. So that's going to be pretty crazy and bonkers. Our giveaway is scheduled. We're going to do an announcement probably at the beginning of next week, but we're going to have a ton of prizes from a ton of great companies. Hopefully, it'll be somewhere between the first and second week of next month. It'll be a live stream here with someone from MCG, hopefully Tammy Ryan as a co-host. And we have a ton of great, trust me when I tell you, we already have a ton of great products that we're giving away. And I'm working behind the scenes on getting more from some of your famous gaming companies. So that's going to be super exciting. We also have another project that's in the works. I can't announce it just yet, and it's killing me, but it's going to be super awesome. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting month to be on the Cypher Unlimited Discord server and just following us in general. If you want to win some cool swag, some cool books, yeah, come check out Cypher Unlimited Discord. If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monica Games. We have the largest fan-run Discord server for everything MCG. Come and play games, talk about games, chat about games, or just sit there and lurk and hear us idiots talk about RPGs. Right? If you want to support us in some way, just give us a sub here on Twitch. Or follow us on Twitch, or go to our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe there. We hit 1,000 subs there. We're trying to get to 1,100. We really appreciate it if you follow us there. Give us a little donation on Ko-fi. Our videos are always free, but it helps us out with little things like Zoom costs. Or go to our online store and pick up some cool Cypher Unlimited merch, like the hat I got on, or the shirt D has on. And last but not least, we love you guys.
And the only thing I'm going to add to all of that is also with the giveaway, just so everybody knows, we're going to have none other than Tammy Ryan on the show with us as a co-host to help, do the giveaway. Going to be a great time. And you know what? It's been great. Hope somebody...
I just want to say this because chat's saying that. Wu-Tang for life, baby.
Hey, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang for the children.
So... basically, though, like I was getting to, we are really happy that everybody's here. I hope you learned something. I hope you're coming back. Server's growing. things are happening. We're making things do what it do. But at the end of the day, from us at the CU, we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.